Russian disinformation turned to an interesting tautology. Apparently, Ukraine is planning to occupy Ukraine. Finland is being forced to clear Ukrainian landmines, and Russia only sends humanitarian convoys to the Donbas. But this is StopFake, the place where we've been debunking this kind of Russian disinformation for 5 years now. So let's get to it. Russian media declared last week that Ukraine has admitted it has no intention of fulfilling the Minsk Agreement and openly opposes peace with the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Fake Republics, and even called Ukraine's agreement with Canada and other Western partners to introduce foreign peacekeepers in the Donbas an occupation. Ukraina.ru called this a bloodthirsty plan that will allow Ukraine to begin a full-scale military operation to put an end to the rebels once and for all. These ridiculous stories follow the recent visit of Deputy Foreign Minister Vasyl Bodnar to Canada, where he met with the leaders of Canada and participated in a gathering of Canadians of Ukrainian descent. Speaking with Canadian journalists, Bodnar emphasized that Ukraine is committed to upholding and implementing the Minsk Agreement. He also pointed out that the agreement has not been carried out fully because Russia continues to destabilize the situation. Now, the Deputy Foreign Minister did not call for the sabotage or abandonment of the Minsk Agreement and did not say Ukraine was refusing to implement them. He did, however, say that if the agreement collapses, Ukraine would ask Canada and Western partners to help establish a peacekeeping mission in the Donbas. The idea of peacekeepers in the Donbas has been a topic of discussion since 2015, when the idea was first introduced by former Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko. 4 years ago, Ukraine requested that the United Nations Security Council introduce UN blue helmets in the Donbas, but Russia blocked the discussion of this issue. Ukraine continued raising this question during the subsequent UN General Assemblies. There are 14 UN peacekeeping operations currently deployed, and there have been a total of 71 deployed since 1948. Russian propagandist television channel Tsargrad claims that Kyiv has refused to finance mine-clearing operations. Mines, they assert, were left there by Ukrainian soldiers in the Donbas, and the publication also claims that Finland has had to take on the work. Now, Russian media have previously claimed that soldiers and children are dying because of Ukrainian mines, but none of these allegations have ever been documented or proven, quite the contrary. During clearing operations by Ukrainians, Ukrainian sappers regularly come across Ochota mines. Why is this significant? Well, these explosives are only used by the Russian army. Another example of evidence of Russia's direct involvement in the invasion and occupation of Ukraine's eastern territory. Back in 2005, Ukraine signed on to the Anti-Personnel Mine Ban Treaty, known as the Ottawa Convention, and since 2012 has continued to dispose of prohibited explosive devices. Ukraine's military tracks the installation of all explosive devices. Their location is documented and recorded on a special map. To reduce the risk of accidents, in 2018, Ukraine's defense ministry published a map of territories littered with mines and other explosives. Most importantly, Ukraine has never refused to clear mines in the Donbas war zone. Since 2016, several international organizations have been helping Ukraine with mine clearance: the Halo Trust, the Danish Demining Group, and the Swiss Foundation for Mine Action. In January 2019, Ukraine's law on mine safety and clearance came into force. The law states that anti-mine and clearance programs are financed through the state budget along with donor funds. Finland's foreign ministry is allocating 600,000 euros for mine clearance in the Donbas. In addition to Finland, Great Britain, Germany, NATO, and others have provided financial assistance for mine clearing programs in Ukraine. The 16,000 square kilometer theater of war in the Donbas is one of the world's most mine and explosive littered places. Since 2014, the Halo Trust has recorded more than 2,000 accidents related to landmines and other explosives in the Donbas. Earlier this month, the United Nations International Court of Justice ruled that it has the jurisdiction to consider a lawsuit Ukraine has filed against Russia. This decision caused a storm of indignation among Russian officials and pro-Kremlin media, who declared that Ukraine is a tool in the Western country's struggle against Russia, that Kyiv's lawsuit is baseless, that Ukraine is trying in vain to label Russia as a terrorist state, and international support for Ukraine is only nominal. The publications accuse Ukraine of confusing terrorism with Russia's good intentions, which it regularly sends in the form of humanitarian aid to the residents of the occupied Donbas. This latest display of Russian anti-Ukrainian apoplexy was brought on by a lawsuit Ukraine filed with the International Court of Justice, accusing Russia of financing terrorism and violating the International Convention for the Suppression of the Financing of Terrorism, thereby calling Russia to account for the annexation of Crimea and the war in the Donbas. President Petro Poroshenko ordered the lawsuit to be filed in early 2017. Now, in the lawsuit, Ukraine appeals to two main international conventions: the International Convention for the Suppression of the Financing of Terrorism and the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. In November, the UN court confirmed that it could consider the lawsuit and overwhelmingly rejected all of Russia's objections. According to Olena Zerkal, Deputy Foreign Minister for European Integration, a final hearing in the Ukraine versus Russia case can be expected no earlier than the end of 2022 because of procedural conditions. As for Russia's humanitarian deliveries to the Donbas, Ukraine, international observers, and European leaders have repeatedly condemned the so-called aid. The illegal deliveries of Russian weapons have been recorded countless times, and Russia has been suspected of using these alleged humanitarian convoys to transport weapons, ammunition, and other supplies to their proxy forces under their command and control from the start of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. That's it for this week. You can find much more dissected disinformation on our website, StopFake.org. Be vigilant, look out for fakes, and if you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, forward it to us for a truth autopsy. I'm Marko Suprun, and this is StopFake. Thanks for watching.